How do you actually get data when you're doing a qualitative project? In this video, I'm going to be sharing with you the secrets that I share with my clients all about planning for data collection. If that's of interest of you, let's get going. So number one, you first have to be very clear about your topic, about your philosophy and research, and have a very clear methodology. If you're looking for more information about methodology, I invite you to go watch this video over here. But essentially, a methodology is your philosophy of how you get to the end point. I use the example of we're traveling from Washington State to Florida State. There's many different ways of how we can get to Florida State, but it comes down to what type of traveler are you? Do you want to get there as fast as possible? Do you have a little bit more time, or you don't care how long it takes to get there? That determines the means, the route of how you do that. So if you are someone who wants to get there as fast as possible, you're going to go by plane. If you're someone who's like, I got a little bit of time, you might go by car. If you're someone who's like, I got all the time in the world, you might go by boat. Why am I saying that? It's because your methodology dictates how you collect data. And so you have to be very clear about what is the methodology I am using, because then that will let me know if I'm taking a boat, a car, or a plane to get to my destination. If you are someone who's doing like a phenomenology study or a narrative inquiry, most likely you're going to be utilizing some interviews. Interviews are the most common form of data collection. Now, interviews usually take place between one person and another. They can be unstructured, where you just go in and you're like, listen, whatever comes up, comes up. They can be semi-structured, where you have some questions that you might like to ask, but wherever the interview goes, it goes. And then there can be structured, where you're like, I have these questions, I ask each person the same question, I don't ask any additional questions. You have to decide if you're doing interviews, are you going to do unstructured, semi-structured, or structured? You also want to determine the length of the interview. How long is it going to be? 30 minutes, 60 minutes, 90 minutes? You want to determine where the interview is going to take place. Are you going to meet the participant in their home? Is it going to be on Zoom? Are you going to find a neutral location where it's quiet and both of you can feel comfortable? You want to think about what is going to be easier for your participant to help them show up and be comfortable to give you the data that you need. Number two, data collection method, questionnaires. Now, this is usually utilized like in the beginning of the process. Maybe there are some standard questions that you want every participant to answer, but you don't want to use any of the other time to do so. So you may send out a questionnaire. It might include demographic information. A lot of my clients use it during the consent process when they're getting participants, but a questionnaire is usually a standardized form, open-ended, or it could be multiple choice or click a box, whatever is going to work for your needs, but that is a form of data collection. Number three, we have focus groups. I think about focus groups as two or more people, but hey, we all have different definition. But the point of the focus group is to ask the questions that are of interest, but to also ask the questions with the added component of group dynamics. The way someone may answer a question one-on-one could be completely different in how they would answer it in a group setting. You also might want to utilize focus group because of the topic that you have, and you're more interested in the group dynamic part than you are in the actual answer, but that's going to depend on your study. Focus groups can also be unstructured, semi-structured, or structured. There's a lot of structuring happening. This is a more advanced method because it also requires you as the researcher to have group facilitation skills, because you're dealing with multiple people at a time. And so you're going to have to put in some thoughts about where the focus group is taking place. Do the participants know each other or not? How can you build rapport so that everyone can feel comfortable participating? How can you be mindful of time? What would you do if conflict were to break out for some reason? And what resources are you going to have available in case things get a little bit too deep and there's some processing, and making sure that you are accurately collecting the data, so recording devices are working, or video devices, and making sure you have what you need from an administrative point of view. So you want to think about those things if you're thinking focus group. Observation. Now, observation is an amazing data collection method. It is you observing participants in their natural habitat because it's qualitative research, but you are looking for particular norms or activities or behaviors, or you're listening for certain words, or you're looking for particular dynamics. Now, this can require you to be someone who is an observer. You don't interact with participants at all. Maybe it's like you're going to a classroom and you're just watching the class, but you don't participate in the class. Or you can be a participant observer where you become a part of the community, a part being interacting with the participants. And while you're interacting, you're also observing what is happening. And these are more of like, I'm gonna have a video or I'm gonna have someone else there helping me to observe, because the more actively involved you are with the participants, the less likely you'll be able to truly observe what is going on. This is a spectrum. It'll look different depending on your needs for your dissertation. Now, you want to think about whatever type of observation you're doing. You want to be very clear about what you are observing. So I would strongly suggest that you have a protocol, a sheet of paper that is simply telling you what types of things you are looking for. What are some examples of that? You want to think in terms of senses. What are you looking for? Are you smelling for certain senses? Are you thinking about food or taste? Okay, topics are topics, y'all. Are you listening for certain things? Are you going to feel certain things? What exactly you want to be as clear as possible. I know I keep saying that, but you want to be clear about what am I looking for? I'm looking for when someone sticks out their hand and another person sticks out their hand and there's an up and down motion. That's what I mean by how clear are you, so you know exactly what you're looking for, because otherwise you're going to be trying to capture all of these instances, but they might not be useful and you may miss the actual thing that you need for data. And then the final most common data collection method that I have found is document analysis, where you go and maybe you're looking at someone's policy, a newspaper, maybe a manual, but something that's already created, and you are looking to see, maybe you're trying to extrapolate meaning from that document. Maybe you're looking for particular policies or particular phrases, or maybe you're trying to understand how this training manual helps the participant understand their job, and maybe the manual itself is going to help you determine what questions you should ask on the individual interview with your participant. It could look all different type of ways, but those are the most common.